Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Jeremy Swift, founder and CEO of Cordial, a cross-channel marketing platform to discuss the disconnect between brand and consumer perception. Jeremy, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Hey, Jill, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
You got it. And tell us more about Cordial and the two surveys you conducted this fall.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cordial is a cross-channel marketing platform that really helps brands communicate with their customers in a more personal and intelligent sort of way. We're really helping some of the most successful and innovative brands out there in the market, like Revolve Clothing, a 1-800-Contacts, Backcountry, Eddie Bauer, really just help them lead, that digital transformation charge that so many of those brands are on right now during a time like this. And those brands really expect from us not just best-in-class technology, but really to give them best-in-class insights and strategies too, to help them understand what's going on within the consumer market, how they can use our technology to be better at how they communicate with them. And the Cordial cross-channel marketing study was just really one of the ways that we were helping to do that for them.
And Jeremy, what did the survey say about online behavior?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Not surprisingly, I think what we really found within that is that more consumers are shopping online than ever before. COVID was a massive accelerator for that at the end of the day. I don't think that's a huge surprise for folks, but 2/3 of all consumers said that they were spending more time online shopping during the pandemic than they ever had before. And I think what naturally comes with that, though, is the more time we spend online, the higher our expectations grow as consumers as well. And so what that really means for brands is that brands are really being forced to kind of up their digital game, so to speak, during a time like this. It's forcing brands to think about their technology, to frankly replace older legacy technologies like a Salesforce, an Oracle, or an Adobe, and really move to more modern software technologies like Cordial that can really help them listen and respond to customer needs and their behaviors more rapidly during a time and a season like this. And then the other piece I would say is really immediacy as well. Consumers expect brands to be able to listen and respond very quickly to their behaviors, and to do that through, I think, just really familiar channels that they're used to. So channels like email, SMS, mobile are really key channels. But I would really highlight, though, what we saw in the survey too, is that there is a huge opportunity within text, not just for brand marketers. We're seeing that out of our clients, but we're also seeing it out of consumers who are responding in a really outsized way to marketing text messages that they're receiving too.
How about consumer behavior regarding how they are markets too?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one, Jill. What we heard from marketers is that list growth on email and on text rose significantly for those brands over the last year and a half. Again, you have more people online. That's a fairly natural thing to happen. Again, increases the urgency for brands to be able to respond to that increased kind of consumer activity coming into them. But the interesting data point that came out of this is that 9 out of 10 brands or marketers that we spoke with believe that they were sending or delivering a highly personalized experience to their customers at the end of the day through these channels. But however, when we talk to consumers, only 1/3 of consumers believe that over the past 6 months, the messages that they were receiving from brands were actually personalized. So that really tells us that there's a fairly significant disconnect between how brands think they're performing and ultimately consumer perception at the end of the day as well. And I think that really leads us back to, though, that personalization matters. When you personalize your messages, consumers are 2 times more likely to buy when they're receiving a personalized message from their brands.
And will shoppers flock back to physical retail stores with the introduction of COVID vaccines? What did the survey say about that?
Yeah, awesome question. The survey actually told us, and I think we consistently see this too, is that shoppers are actually going to be shopping online in a much more increased way during this season. There's a lot of variables out there with Delta and things like that that are driving that. Now, I will say, I think there is one potential variable in here that is going to be very interesting to track, though, too, which is some of the supply chain issues that are well documented out there, as well as some of the delivery delays and issues within that market as well. And so at Cordial, we have a whole host of brands who have both a significant online presence, but also a physical brick and mortar presence as well. And so helping those brands really win in both of those channels is incredibly important and something that we're helping them do. One example that I would call out within that I think is really significant is that if I'm a shopper and I'm looking for something online and I can't get that item and I don't have confidence I can get that shipped to me in time, well, brands using Cordial have an opportunity to deliver them an immediate text message or an email message saying, hey, we know what you're interested in. We know what behaviors you're showing. There's a store 3 miles down the road from your house, and there's 5 of those products left in stock on our shelves. Create a little urgency to get that consumer to actually get in their car and go to that physical store. I think that's going to be a variable that we're going to see play out in an interesting way here.
Yeah, so interesting. It always goes back to omni-channel presence all the time. So, Jeremy, can we expect more digital communication from our favorite brands? And what makes for effective communication?
That's a really great question. The really short answer is yes. When we spoke with marketers, more than 75% of them said that they plan to increase their communications via channels like email and SMS. So that was a resounding answer from them at the end of the day. And I think there's probably 3 simple ways that if I'm a brand and I'm thinking about how I can just be more effective in my communications, the first is I would listen. Digitally, a consumer will tell you so much about how they want to be communicated with at the end of the day. And then the second is to be personal. Leverage the power of platforms like Cordial out there to just communicate more personally based off of those behaviors that a consumer is showing you, and then be consistent. If you're going to send somebody a personal email message, make sure that there's continuity with that text message or those mobile messages that you're delivering to them as well. Again, consumers, when they feel like they're being listened to and engaged with responsibly, we see those types of low inventory alert communications. Maybe there's a delivery delay or an item that's sitting in their cart. Consumers, those types of messages generate 6 to 7 times more revenue for a brand at the end of the day. So again, it's just a win-win for the consumer and for the brand when you do that.
Right, and we know that there certainly is consumer demand out there. Everyone's expecting it to pick up. The National Retail Federation just put numbers out there, an 8.5% to 10.5% increase for this season. But Jeremy, how are marketers communicating to consumers about supply chain constraints? We seem to hear you got to get it now or else it might not be around. And even in my own personal shopping, we're seeing that.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And again, I would just say communicate early and often. Not every brand is set up well to be able to communicate very effectively about what's going on with their inventory or some of their supply chain issues and delays. And again, it's why we're seeing brands leveraging solutions like Cordial really up their game, because solutions like ours are helping to tap into inventory data to really understand what a consumer needs and when they need it. That's a huge piece of this. I mean, when you think about who wins, it's those that communicate best with the consumer at the end of the day.
Right. Jeremy, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks so much, Jill.